Hey there and welcome. So, have you ever felt like you're kind of stuck in textbook English? Well, in this explainer, we're going to ditch the script. We'll look at some really simple tweaks you can make to sound way more natural, relaxed, and confident when you speak.
So, here's the game plan. We'll kick things off by figuring out what natural English actually sounds like. Then, we'll get into the good stuff. Phrases for when you're confused, how to give opinions, how to react, and how to be super polite. And we'll wrap it all up by talking about how you can find your voice.
Okay, let's dive right into our first section. What does it mean to sound natural? It's about way more than just being correct. It's about being connected. Look, you've done the hard work, right? You've spent hours studying. Your grammar is on point. Your vocabulary is solid. You can put together a perfect sentence. And honestly, that's amazing.
So, with all that effort, why do you sometimes still feel like you sound like you're reading from a textbook? You know that feeling, like something's just a little bit off, like it's an exercise, not a real flowing conversation. And this is really the heart of it. Correct English? It works. It gets the message across. But natural English? Well, that's different. It's all about the flow. It's about using those little phrases that add emotion and personality. It's the difference between a conversation that feels warm and smooth and one that feels, kind of robotic.
All right, let's get practical. First step, how to handle confusion. We're going to upgrade that classic I don't understand so you can express confusion without bringing the whole conversation to a screeching halt.
We've all been there, right? You say, I don't understand. I mean, it's correct, it's clear, but it can also feel like you've just put up a big stop sign. It kind of slams the brakes on the conversation and can even sound a little blunt. So here's a great one to swap in. Sorry, I didn't catch that. This is just perfect. Why? Because it's so flexible. Maybe you literally didn't hear them, or maybe you heard the words but the meaning flew right over your head. Either way, this phrase works. It's a really friendly way to ask someone to say that again, or explain it differently. Okay, here's another angle. You can try something like, I'm not following, or I'm a bit lost. These are awesome for when things are moving super fast. The cool thing is, you're not blaming the other person. You're just saying, hey, my brain needs a second to catch up. It keeps things collaborative, not confrontational.
And you know what else native speakers do? They use little tricks to buy themselves some thinking time. Things like, let me see if I got this right, or asking for an example. That's a super smart move. Even a quick, wait, what? Can sound really natural and engaged. It shows you're paying attention.
All right, next up, opinions. We all say, I think, a million times a day, right? But let's look at some ways to mix it up so you sound a lot more flexible and conversational when you share your thoughts. So, there's nothing wrong with I think, but check this out. I feel like. It's a small change, but it makes a huge difference. It just sounds softer. You're not stating a fact, you're sharing an impression, an emotion. It feels way more personal and gentle. Same thing goes for in my opinion. It can sound a little stuffy, a little formal sometimes, but if you swap it for it seems like, or from what I can tell, you're changing the game. Now you're just sharing what you've observed. It's less of a big declaration and more of a thoughtful comment. See, you've got a whole toolbox here. You can use I guess when it's just a light thought, or I could be wrong, but to sound more humble and open-minded. The secret to sounding natural is picking the right tool for the job. Okay, let's talk about reactions. These are the little words that inject so much life into a conversation and make it feel like a real back and forth. When you hear something surprising or crazy, these are your best friends. No way. You're kidding? Seriously? They're quick, they're packed with energy, and they immediately show you're hooked. It's so much better than a flat, oh really, right? But it's not always about high energy. These calmer reactions are just as vital. Saying things like, that makes sense, or right, or that's fair. That's how you show you're listening and you get it. It's like giving a little nod to the other person, telling them, I hear you. And that keeps everything moving along nicely. This next one is a big one. Let's talk about being polite, especially when you need to ask for something. We're going to look at something called softeners. These little phrases are used all the time in English, and they totally change the tone of what you're saying. So check out this progression. You could just say, send me the file. That's a command, pretty direct. A little better is, could you send me the file? That's a polite question. But the real pro-level move? I was wondering if you could send me the file. See how much softer that is? It's indirect, it's gentle, it's just really respectful. And there are so many more. Would you mind, or any chance you could? That one is so friendly and doesn't sound demanding at all. And if you add something like, when you get a moment, no rush, wow, that shows so much respect for their time. These little phrases really do change everything. All right, let's wrap this up. In this last part, we're going to tie everything together and talk about what the real goal is here. And that brings us to the idea of fluency. I think we need to redefine it. It's not about talking a mile a minute with perfect grammar. Real fluency is about connection. It's about being able to communicate clearly and, at the same time, build a real connection with someone.
And honestly, that's the main thing I want you to take away today. Every little phrase we talked about, from I'm a bit lost to I was wondering if, is a tiny choice you get to make. And that choice can take your English from just sharing information to actually building relationships. It proves you're not just talking, you're really listening.
So here's my final thought for you. This whole journey to sounding more natural, it's all about small steps. Please don't try to memorize this entire list overnight. Just pick one, or maybe two. Pick a phrase that you really liked and make a goal to try it out this week. So what's it going to be? Which new phrase are you going to try first?